on this episode of the Clip Service podcast. Guys, big changes coming for the Clippers, or have already come. The deadline brought some shockers, which we will get into, but it's going to be a little different around Clipper Nation, and hopefully for the better. I think a lot of fans are optimistic about what was changed and the moves that were made. Lawrence Frank redeemed himself a little bit, I would say. I'm still a little cautious about Lawrence Frank, but we'll get to that later as well. We got a whole lot to get into, guys, so without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Please make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla. This is my co-host, Nick, and we're going to get right into it. Man, the trade deadline came and went, and the NBA is shook up. Lawrence Frank very much redeemed himself, and
well, let's not get carried away here.
He very much redeemed himself, and
he helped his cause a little bit.
And did exactly what a GM is supposed to do, and that is move the team forward by trading and giving. Well, I don't want to say giving away, but handing off some of our
I don't know. Chris Paul was kind of given away.
Chris Paul was given away. Handing off some of our key pieces of our current team for some future assets. We traded away James Harden, Kobe Brown, and we handed over Chris Paul for a bag of chips. We got
literally.
Darius Garland and a second-round pick for James Harden. We got Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 firsts and a second for Zoo and Kobe Brown. Again, like I said, Chris Paul was traded out of the country for a bag of chips. Our veteran.
No, not just a bag of chips. A bag of chips coming in the form of the rights to Vanya the GOAT, Vanya Marinkinovic.
I've never heard of him.
So, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out, league. Anyway, continue.
We've already had our rants about the whole Chris Paul situation.
Bullshit.
But
bullshit.
Coming from the DMs that we received on Instagram, it seems like most of Clipper Nation is pretty optimistic.
Thank you guys for reaching out too.
Yeah, thank you guys for reaching out. In the future we will be wanting you guys to kind of reach out more and give us questions to answer on the pod, but to kind of go back to the general topic, it seems like everyone's pretty optimistic. It seems like everyone has been waiting to move forward. I felt like Lawrence Frank did a great job. I felt like what we got back for those players was huge. Nick, do you want to go into kind of like what kind of picks that we got, what that means for us?
Yeah, and I want to hear what you have to, because I think that this whole trade deadline was a lot more impactful to you as well. I mean, like, obviously it was impactful to all Clipper fans, but I think that you kind of got what you wanted. But I'll just kind of get in the meat and potatoes of everything. So James Harden was traded to the Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. So, I mean, right off the bat, that whole situation was interesting because just from what I've heard, there had been a couple days of discussions between James Harden and the Clippers in regards to this trade. It seemed like it was pretty amicable. Basically, the gist of it was James Harden wanted, I think some sort of contract extension or a little bit more money guaranteed past the time frame that Lawrence Frank had set aside to start to rebuild the team, which was around 2027. Mm-hmm. There was no traction on that. James Harden wanted some, he's getting up there in age. He wants like his last contract.
Right.
So basically they couldn't reach an agreement. James Harden requested a trade, it seems, and he had a no trade clause, so it did have to be somewhere where he was willing to go to. And like I said, it was seemingly a very amicable, transaction, which is great. Kind of similar to the situation that we had when Chris Paul was traded from the Clippers initially, where the two sides don't really see eye to eye. The player is able to kind of like allow the team to move in a way that they can require assets back. So all in all, I really like Darius Garland. He does come with his injury issues. He's dealing with some sort of like turf toe or something like that in one foot, and then surgery on another toe, I think, in the other foot. So he's got some toe issues.
Yeah, he has.
But I mean, the dude is 26. Mm-hmm. He's a multi-time All-Star. Really, really shifty. Solid point guard. Very clutch. He's a guy that I've been really interested in for a long time. So just looking on paper, I do like the fact that the Clippers were able to acquire young talent in the form of Darius Garland. So I'm happy to have him, and I do have to give a shout out to James Harden, not only for allowing the Clippers to facilitate a trade, but I mean he had a really nice farewell post. He said that he will always consider himself a Clipper. He did a lot more than he was supposed to in his 2.5 years here. He really rose to the occasion, kind of filled in for a role that was supposed to be taken over by Paul George, but Paul George just couldn't do that. He just wasn't built that way. And James Harden really was able to slide into that number 2 role, and he's had some amazing moments. The 50 point a game with Obama in the court side against the Pistons. There were some great games, great moments with James Harden. And I do want to say,
a hot take, bro. I hate to say it.
It's not a hot take. And guys, we're gonna do hot take, shot take later for the first time in a while. That wasn't a hot take to me. I don't think it's a hot take to say that James Harden was a very good Clipper.
But you compared him
obviously,
to Paul George. You think he was a better Clipper than Paul George as a Clipper?
Not necessarily a better Clipper, but he stepped into a role that was supposed to be filled by Paul George. Because when Paul George left for greener pastures or whatever, then now you have James Harden sliding into a role of like, okay, not only do I have to be the main facilitator, but I have to be the second option on scoring. And he did that. Most nights he was the number 1 option when Kawhi had to sit or what have you. And he was just like, you hear Zoo talk about like he was instrumental to Zoo's growth. He was talking, I forget, it was Jordan Miller. Jordan Miller gave him a ton of credit in terms of his growth. Like, I think that he was a really good vet for these young guys, and he really left an imprint on this franchise. And I do have to just, he did. The on-court product is what it is with James Harden. And like, obviously there was a lot to be desired, not a lot of the time, but when it mattered most at times, James Harden, wasn't really the player that we needed him to be. But this whole era has not been what we needed it to be, and I think that given what James Harden was expected to do when we traded for him, he exceeded a lot of that. So I really have to give him a shout out. He was a great spokesperson for the team. He was great with the community. So obviously Hall of Famer James Harden. I'll remember you fondly for the most part as a Clipper, and just thank you to James Harden. As far as the other trade, which was quite a bit more shocking, the James Harden trade was shocking because it kind of came out of left field. But this one was shocking because the Clippers, obviously, if you guys have been living under a rock, what happened was the Clippers traded Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown for Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. Zoo being the longest tenured Clipper, to date, or not to date, but in this era, we traded for him in a nothing trade with we traded away what the fuck was that guy? What the hell was that guy's name? Mike Muscala.
Mike Muscala, yeah.
Came in, started immediately. I think he was like 20, 21. Yeah, shout out to Magic Johnson. Was like 20 or 21 years old when he came to the Clippers. Got better. Once he started getting the opportunity, got better every year. He was
good on the Lakers.
Worked himself in a limited role, yeah. But he bottom line is he got better when he was given the chance every single year. He came in, did what was required of him, was hardly ever hurt, and then worked his way into being a top 5 center in the entire league. As a back to the basket traditional center, which is really hard to do. Zoo was everything for the most part, everything the Clippers needed from him and more, obviously. And he loved the team. His teammates loved him. I mean, you had Pat Bev coming to a Clippers game after he had left the team in a Zoo jersey, watching him courtside. Like, he endeared himself to his teammates, to his fans. Kawhi Leonard was even shook up about it. Ty Lue said that it was a very tearful, meeting when he said goodbye to the team. Everybody loved Zoo. One of my favorite Clippers of all time. I truly wish Zoo nothing but the best. He's gonna do great things in Indiana. Having like a pick and roll partner in Tyrese Halliburton once they get healthy. I have the Pacers as my favorite team in the East next year because of this trade. But yeah, I'm really gonna miss Zoo. I really am. Apparently, as far as like the trade goes, Lawrence Frank came out and said like they didn't wake up that morning thinking that they were going to trade Zoo, but he did let Zoo know a couple of days prior that there is a team that's aggressively pursuing him. Obviously, that was the Pacers. And if it's kind of one of those things where if there's a godfather offer for the Clippers, then Lawrence Frank has to do what he has to do and consider it. And that's what was done.
Can I interject really quick?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't believe that one bit, that they weren't planning on trading Zoo. I mean, multiple previous Clippers have said that Lawrence Frank has said one thing and then acted a different way.
That's very true.
I'm not saying that that's the case currently. I'm saying that I couldn't imagine a scenario where Zoo makes it past this summer. So maybe if it was not this trade deadline, I think he was going to get traded during the summer. I think, and I applaud, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I applaud Lawrence Frank for making these decisions now rather than later. And I guess I can get into it later, but I think that a huge impact to the reason why Lawrence Frank and our front office made these moves right now is because of the pressure from the fans. I mentioned in previous episodes where, we've talked about how like sometimes it just feels like we're powerless. And, I think that if we had just lied down and let things happen the way it was, I think we see this same team go into the playoffs. You've heard Kawhi talk about how he was surprised that, this team was winning and that there were trades made. And, James Harden was talking about how he was surprised a little bit. Obviously, they had that conversation, but, Zoo and them, like, it is a little bit of a surprise to the players. But I think that because of the pressure from the fans, because of the pressure from the public, I think our front office was forced to play a hand. And good thing, because we got a pretty fantastic haul for these players, which I don't think we would have gotten during the summer.
I do think, I do agree with you to a point. Like, I think that the fans kind of openly clamoring for like a youth movement or something younger. When shit was really starting to hit the fan with this team, I think that had an effect for sure. I also think that Lawrence Frank has been planning this reset for a couple years. Obviously, it's part of the reason why Norman Powell didn't get an extension. Lawrence Frank wanted to keep the books clear no longer than 2027, just to be able to have that flexibility to get younger. And the fact that it happened a little earlier, I do think, Rolla, to your point, I think that the fan reception to this team for a quarter of the season had an effect on that. And so, it's you make a very good point. But yeah, I think that getting younger, Zoo, back to my previous point, I do think that Zoo probably would have stayed past the deadline if there wasn't a massive haul that the Clippers were able to get because of Zoo's age. Zoo's younger than 30. He still can be a player that you transition into that next stage with, but doing this trade, you get even younger than Zoo, and you get a 23-year-old, in my opinion, future All-Star in Benedict Mathurin. Obviously, he's a spark plug on offense. He can compete on defense. His teammates have said that he's a competitor. I've seen it. I was really blown away with even though the writing was kind of on the wall in that Game 7 against Oklahoma City when Tyrese had gone down. T.J. McConnell, Pascal Siakam, and Benedict Mathurin were all competing literally until the final buzzer in that game. And I just I've always liked him. I liked him when he was playing at Arizona. He reminds me a little bit of like a Anthony Edwards light. Obviously, he's not that caliber of player, but he's cut from the same cloth, in my opinion. So the Clippers got even.
I feel like low key he's cut, and this might come off like
what cloth is he cut from?
I feel like he's cut from the same cloth as Bones Highland, bro. Super low key, bro.
No.
So I feel like he's like a Super Saiyan version of Bones. I think.
I don't see the similarity. I mean, they're both instant offense in theory.
Instant offense, same. I feel like they have the same play style.
But Bones, I don't know, man. Like
type players.
Because Bones Highland is like this like cheerful
not personality.
Skinny dude, and Benedict Mathurin's like this like kind of intense like really stocky like big ass guard.
Is he that big?
I mean, he's big and strong. He's like probably 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, I feel like he's like 6'3".
I don't think so. I think he's pretty big. But regardless of of the Bones Highland Benedict Mathurin comps, I do think at the very least, you know, he's an instant offense, or he can be an instant offense guy for this Clippers team, and being 6'3", not 6'3", being 23. The Clippers, you got me talking about people's height now.
He is 6'5", though.
Okay, sweet. Now that we've squashed that, no, being 23, the Clippers really have a very young guy to build off of. And I'm really excited to see it. We'll talk about his performance. He played tonight. We'll talk about his performance in a little bit. But Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, who's somebody that I've wanted the Clippers to get for years. He reminds me a bit of Montrezl Harrell.
Dude, that's
just in his I mean, he's got a really high motor. He's an undersized center. He doesn't have the offensive bag that Trez had, but he plays with that same intensity. He actually had the best game of his career against the Clippers a couple years ago in his first start up to that point. But yeah, he's somebody that I really like, either coming off the bench or getting spot starts for the Clippers. And again, you know, I've wanted the Clippers to trade for him for a couple years. He's only 26. The Clippers didn't sacrifice any youth in that regard. And then to me, the biggest sweetener of this entire deal was the 2 first-round picks and the second-round pick, but the 2 first-round picks that they were able to get. So the Clippers were able to acquire draft capital that they've been so desperate for. Now, the first pick that I want to talk about is the one that could, in theory, convey to the Clippers this offseason in a draft class that is completely stacked, headlined by, you know, AJ DeBansa and Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson. You know, this is going to be a great draft class. Now, the interesting thing with this first round pick is if it's it's heavily protected this year. So if it's 1 through 4 for the Pacers keep it, and if it's 10 through 30, the Pacers keep it. So in order for the Clippers to have that pick in this draft class, it would have to be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Whether that happens, I will get into in just a second.
I feel like it'll happen, bro.
But if it doesn't convey this year, then it becomes an unprotected first-round pick for the Clippers in 2031. The other pick is a 2029 unprotected first-round pick, which is great. Obviously, we'll see how the Pacers look at that time. I think that they're going to be a very good team for years to come with this Zoo thing. And another interesting pick, or another interesting thing before I finish up with this, another interesting thing about this pick is the Pacers, after acquiring Ivica Zubac, came out and said that Ivica Zubac has been dealing with a ankle sprain. And he has not played for the Pacers since the trade happened. And from what I've heard, probably will be out for a little while. Now, this seems, just off the bat, I'm not making any assumptions, but this seems like it could be the Pacers tanking so that they're guaranteed that top 4 pick.
Bro, it's rigged.
It's gonna be a little tough because you have teams like the Pelicans. You have teams like, who's another really bad team right now?
The Wizards.
The Hornets are playing well. The Wizards. The Jazz.
Bro, I don't think that that's the. And I think that history has shown us that tanking is not the best move as a
Sure.
franchise to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again where a team is the worst team in the league and they end up with like the third, fourth, fifth pick.
Sure.
And this is what I don't think that the Indiana Pacers are going to be the absolute worst team in the league. I don't even know where they are in the standings right now.
They're pretty bad.
But
They currently sit.
I could definitely see them dropping into the Clippers zone of picks, or I guess rising into the Clippers zone of picks.
Yeah, whatever the semantics are for it. Yeah, I mean, because you have the Sacramento Kings are 12-43.
Yeah.
Pelicans are 15-40. The Jazz are 17-37. The Pacers are 14-40. So they're worse than the Washington
crazy.
Wizards. They are the worst team in the East.
By
So there's
far.
that.
They just beat the Knicks, though.
Did they beat the Knicks? Good for them. Good for them. So yeah, very interesting pick. If the Clippers manage to get the pick for this offseason, that is huge.
I think
that is
I
huge.
think they can do it. I think they.
And
can
if
do
it and if we don't, I mean, 2031, we still get an unprotected pick in 2031. That doesn't mean nothing, right? So. Basically, bottom line, the Clippers were able to acquire draft capital and young talent. So now they have, their backcourt of the future, maybe with Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin. I think this is a great trade deadline for the Clippers. Obviously, it's a hard pill to swallow seeing guys like Zugo and James Harden, just in terms of like competitive games this year. But at the end of the day, like Rolla has been clamoring for, like the Clippers need to get younger, and that leads me into Rolla. Give me your breakdown of this trade deadline.
Well, just to I have an announcement.
Let's hear it, buddy.
Just to let everyone know. Previously, I did mention that I was pretty down on the Clippers. If you've noticed, today I am wearing a Clippers jersey.
He's back.
I am now back to being a full-fledged fan. Because I was so sick at what the Clippers were doing. I mentioned how the fans have power. For me, I think not pushing the Clippers in terms of viewership, in terms of celebration, in terms of social media activity, I think it would kind of force their hand to do something. And I know I wasn't the only fan that felt this way. So it's nice to see the Clippers actually do something for the future. I had been screaming for this for almost like 3 years now. And so it just feels like I feel validated in seeing this.
I'm glad.
I mentioned to Nick a couple weeks ago, or I guess when the trade deadline happened, like a good GM would have done this 2 years ago. Because it was pretty obvious that this team wasn't going anywhere. I think when we saw that James Harden, Paul George, Russell Westbrook team to be a general manager and to see that and not blow everything up was pretty shocking to me. But I guess they wanted to see things play out. They wanted to see a playoffs where Kawhi was healthy. And I think we saw that at the end of last season, and we still lost in the first round. And so I think that this was inevitable. I would have been pretty bummed to see no change happen all the way to the summer and basically see the same thing happen again this playoffs. But now, if we get into the playoffs and we lose first round, these are young guys that get playoff experience. Kobe Sanders, Jordan Miller. I don't think you talked about, how the Clippers signed them to standard contracts. But to see these young guys, Darius Garland, Mathurin, obviously Mathurin played in the finals last year, but to see these players play together,
more minutes for Giannis,
exactly more, and he's been going off.
Yes,
and to see these players get more minutes and get that experience is huge. Rather than having Kawhi, James Harden, all these veteran players play again and lose again, whereas I feel like this is still a step forward, whereas that would have been a step backwards. So. For me, it's just relieving. It's validating. It makes me proud to be a Clipper, to see that our general management are, finally moving forward, finally moving into that next era of Clippers basketball, finally moving along with the rest of the league, where it's young, fast-paced, solid players that win you championships. You look at OKC, you look at Indiana last year. These are the teams that make it. And so that's the formula now. When you have guys like Darius Garland, you have guys like Mathurin who's been there. You got players with that sort of DNA. I think that's huge for our team. So, I'm pretty excited for the future, man. I mean, I don't know about you. Like I said, I'm pretty optimistic on this pick coming up. And
I hope so. That would be awesome. Like,
yeah,
if we could get a top 10 pick in this year's draft, that's insane.
That would be huge. We'll see. I think that, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I think a lot of Clipper fans have been waiting for this. The DMs that we got were basically people were sad, but hopeful for the future. So it's been cool, man. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Shouts out everybody. Kobe Brown. We didn't mention Kobe Brown. Obviously, didn't work out for the Clippers, but I really hope that the dude finds a place in the league. I don't have a lot of optimism, but I do think that, like, in the right situation, he could be a role player maybe. But shouts out to everybody that played for the Clippers and wore the jersey. James Harden, Zoo, Kobe Brown,
Chris Paul.
Dude, I didn't even want to say it. I didn't even want to say it because it's such a sad end to, like, the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest Clipper of all time.
Yep.
Of course, Chris Paul. And I hope that he knows that Clipper fans still love Chris Paul, like, very much so. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, for those of you that haven't already DM'd us, feel free to DM us and let us know what you think of the trade deadline and the moves that were made. We will probably be reading those off next episode. So send them all in. Let us know what you think. I think let's go ahead and move on to the recaps. There have been 3 games since the deadline. So let's go ahead and get into that. So the first game was a win against the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, the Clippers were rocking with a skeleton crew. The starting lineup was Kawhi, John Collins, Derek Jones, Brook Lopez, and Chris Dunn. Going to give one thing that we like, or 2 things, 3 things that we liked, and 1 thing, or 2 things, or 3 things that we didn't like. So the first of which was Kawhi Leonard, 31 points. Obviously something that I did like. I think now that James Harden's gone, and now that Zoo's gone, I hope that we're going to really continue to see this aggressive version of Kawhi. And obviously he's got to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. But I mean, Kawhi Leonard prior to the deadline was already playing like a complete beast. And he was, really aggressive on offense, has looked great. He was actually added to the All-Star game as well, after being snubbed. So, that it's whatever. But 31 points from Kawhi, 9 for 19 from the field, 12 for 12 from the free throw line. That's been a huge part of his success this season, has been his efficiency from the free throw line. He looked great. And every single one more thing that I really liked was every single starter was in double digits in this one. Obviously, it's against the Kings, who have been really struggling this year, but take care of business, especially with a very light roster post deadline. 15 from Brook Lopez and Chris Dunn, both. 13 from Derek Jones. Really happy to have him back. And 22 from John Collins, who I would not mind seeing continue to be a Clipper. Obviously, he's going to be due for a contract extension, I think, this offseason. But he's been awesome. He's been everything the Clippers needed when they traded for him. So great stuff. One thing that I didn't like was the minutes load in this one. I mean, obviously, Kawhi Leonard didn't play an insane amount of minutes, but 31 points. I would have liked to maybe see the Clippers put the Kings away a little bit more in this one. Obviously, only a 3-point win. I would have liked to see Kawhi Leonard like sub 25 minutes if that was at all possible. That was kind of the one thing that I didn't like. But can't really nitpick in a game where you win against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. You took all the good things. You said like 5.
Sorry, bro. I got excited, dude.
Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, there's nothing else left for me. Yeah. I mean, it's against
How about
the
that box
Sacramento
score?
Kings, bro.
How about that box score?
Yeah, the box score is great. It was against the Sacramento Kings. In general, I just like to see the team take care of business. Win the games we're supposed to win. I keep harping on that. That's what makes up a good team. That's what makes up a solid team. That's what makes up confidence. So you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. Kawhi Leonard, like you mentioned, James Harden isn't there anymore. So Kawhi kind of gets most of the ball. I think Ty Lue had mentioned something along the lines of the ball has to like flow through Kawhi now or something like that. I forgot what the exact quote was, but basically he was
That
saying
sounds about right.
James Harden isn't there. Basically, the ball should be flowing through Kawhi, which is exactly what we've been seeing. John Collins has been balling. So I think that the team as a totality is the thing I like. The thing I didn't like was the fact
that I took all your shit.
Yeah, the fact that it was a close game is pretty crazy. But like I said, as long as they're taking care of business, it is what it is. Russell Westbrook, bruh, that dude sucks. That's all I got. That's all I got to say.
He doesn't suck. He doesn't suck.
Straight to Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going first on the next recap.
Clippers I was just about to say.
Clippers won.
You got this.
Clippers won 115. My ESPN is still loading. So I believe it was 90.
Oh, there's an easy one in this one.
115-96. The easy one. Kawhi Leonard with 41 points. Like I said, the ball's flowing through Kawhi now. No James Harden, which means he gets the ball as much as he wants. He gets to shoot as much as he wants. And that's exactly what we saw. The one thing I didn't like about this game was Anthony Edwards' poster on.
Oh, yeah. That was nasty. It was on Brooke.
Was it on Brooke Lopez?
I'm pretty sure. It might have been on both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, that was something I didn't like. As a basketball fan, I liked it. As a Clipper fan, I did not like it. So
sure,
that's that. What about you?
Okay. So I think the thing that I liked, obviously the 41 from Kawhi is amazing. One thing that I liked was 15 points in 17 minutes from Giannis. There was a play where I think it was a missed shot from Kawhi, and Kawhi saved it, went right to Derrick Jones, and Derrick Jones, hit Giannis with a pass as he was coming down the lane, and Giannis threw down like a one-handed dunk, and was from the 3-point line to the basket in like a blink of an eye. Like he just showcased his athleticism in this one. Was grabbing boards, was dunking everything. Was 5 for 5 from the field. Really loved what I saw from Giannis. Got a block as well. 3 of his 6 rebounds were offensive rebounds, which was great. That was one thing I liked. And then just like the defensive aggression from the Clippers, particularly from the starting lineup. I mean, you have 4 steals from Kawhi, 1 steal and 1 block from John Collins, 3 steals and 1 block from Derrick Jones, 2 blocks from Brooke Lopez, and a steal from Chris Dunn. Like the defensive energy was there in this one, and held the Timberwolves, who have struggled a little bit this season, but obviously they can pop off at any time. Holding them below 100 was something that I really, really liked. Something that I didn't like, what did I not like? I mean, I guess the fact that Kawhi Leonard had to score 41. You look at the rest of the box score from the starting lineup, in terms of points, 15 from John Collins, but then DJ with 5, Brooke with 5, Chris Dunn with 9. I mean, there's kind of no reason that Brooke Lopez should be getting outscored by Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn is amazing on defense, but he's not much of a scorer. So as long as Brooke Lopez is in that starting lineup, he does have to be scoring, or hitting his shots. So I guess that's one thing that I didn't really like. But aside from that, man, I really can't dissect this one negatively much more.
I feel like.
Did you want to start off with this next one, the final game?
Yeah, I can start off with the Rockets Clippers game. The Rockets won 102-95. They actually just finished. We're getting at you guys right after the game. The one thing I liked, I think would have to be the fact that Mathurin suited up as a Clipper for the first time, it's really, really cool to see. I've kind of been a fan of him for a while now. He was on my fantasy team last year. When he was a rookie, one of my really good friends mentioned that to watch out for this kid Mathurin. He is, like I mentioned earlier, I think he's like a Super Saiyan version of Bones Highland.
Yeah, he's like, we're getting Bones Highland, baby.
I think
Bones Highland has come back to the Clippers.
I think if Bones Highland put on a shit ton of muscle and had the confidence that Mathurin had mentally, I think they would be a similar player.
Bones Highland's
That's all I'll
confident
say about that. He is very
sure.
confident, but I think Mathurin is even more confident.
Sure.
And it's cool to see him in a Clippers
better.
uniform. He is better. Yeah, he's Super Saiyan version. I think that Mathurin, it's amazing to see him as a Clipper. One thing I didn't like was Kobe Sanders, 1 of 9 from the field. He didn't have that great of a game, but again, he's a rookie, so he gets that excuse. He gets experience, how to play a bad game and then bounce back the next game. We are playing the Rockets again tomorrow, so we'll see how he bounces back.
Yeah. One thing that I liked, obviously, was Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson both playing in this one. Isaiah Jackson, so the way that the game went was obviously, Rolla touched on it in what he didn't like, Kobe Sanders being one for 9. The Clippers just weren't hitting anything, really. Outside of John Collins, who was a pretty efficient 8 for 14, everybody else was pretty inefficient. I mean, Kawhi had 24, but he did it 7 of 19 from the field, was 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. The Clippers just weren't hitting their shots. And so, that's what I didn't like, just the fact that the Clippers kind of shot themselves in the foot in this one. I think that they were up 1 going into halftime, and they just couldn't convert on, it was layups, it was mid-range, it was 3-point. And the Rockets generate their offense off of, transition buckets and offensive rebounds. You don't want to give the Rockets too many misses that they can just grab and then outlet and run you out of the building. Benedict Mathurin did not have a good game in his debut, unfortunately. 4 for 13 from the field, only 9 points. The Clippers did go on a little bit of a run late.
That's a bad game, dude.
But it doesn't tell the full story. I think outside of the last 5 minutes, he was 1 for 10 or something like that. They did go on a little bit of a run late, and he led the charge, as well as Isaiah Jackson, who checked in for the last 5 minutes and got 5 points in 5 minutes. That's what I like about Isaiah Jackson, and that's what I kind of hope to see moving forward. I do, with Brook Lopez being very hit and miss this season, I really would like to, unless we really, really, really need a floor spacer or veteran presence, I really would like to see Isaiah Jackson and Yannick have the lion's share of the center minutes. Now that Zoo's gone, that was actually probably what I liked was, aside from Isaiah Jackson and Benedict Mathurin playing, which was great. The thing that I like was the last couple minutes in the game where the Clippers really didn't stop fighting. It was Cam Christie, Ty Washington, Isaiah Jackson, Benedict Mathurin, and I think either Jordan Miller or I can't remember who the last person was. Kobe Sanders, maybe. But yeah, I mean, the little late run that kind of kept Kevin Durant, Şengün, and all the starters in the game when they have a game tomorrow, that was cool to see. I mean, the Clippers didn't stop fighting in this one, and that was what I liked probably the most. But yeah, like Rolla said, the Clippers have the same opponent tomorrow in the same building. So hopefully the hopefully the Clippers are able to kind of take this loss personal. There was some back and forth between Kevin Durant and Benedict Mathurin kind of all game as well. So hopefully, being the competitor that he is, Benedict Mathurin can kind of come out and, get his revenge. I'm really, really curious to see how this game goes tomorrow. Thankfully, the Clippers weren't able to really exceed a heavy minutes load, only 31 minutes from John Collins and Kawhi, and everybody else played less. So very curious to see how this game against the Rockets goes tomorrow. I'm really hoping it's a win. I do hope that even though that the Clippers, made these moves during the trade deadline, I hope that they can still, play competitively and win games and look like a competent team out there, because I think that they're capable of that. But yeah, as far as like the game tomorrow and then the next couple of games goes, I'm just gonna do a really quick preview. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me pull up the schedule.
We got the Rockets.
So we got the yes, we got the Rockets tomorrow, and we got the Denver Nuggets back home in LA on Thursday, Friday against the Lakers in crypto, and then Sunday against the Magic. So some tough opposition coming up. The Clippers have done a pretty good job against the Lakers this season. Denver's going to be a test, and Orlando's no slouch either. So I think that as long as the new acquisitions can get some playing time and kind of showcase, why they were traded for, I think that that's great. I don't know what to expect in terms of like win-loss, just because this is such like a fresh team. But there's a lot to be excited about, I think, and hopefully this next stretch of games. Also, the All-Star break is going to be in between that, so not 100% sure when we're going to get back to talking about all those games. We might do like an All-Star special or something like that, as it is going to be in Intuit Dome, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, Rolo. What are you looking for in this next stretch of games from the Clippers?
It's going to be a brutal stretch. During our previous win streak, we did have a little bit of a lighter schedule. So, kind of hoping that momentum carries us through this stretch of games. Obviously, we had that shakeup of, losing James Harden and Zoo and Chris Paul. So it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna have to lean on Kawhi a lot more to win us a lot of these games. So, at the end of the day, I win or lose. My expectation is my expectation is for the end of the season is to make the playoffs. Obviously, I'm not expecting the Clippers to win a championship this year or anything, obviously. But
you never know.
It comes with getting to the playoffs, comes with winning these types of games. So, I think we should be able to, at least win a couple of these. Kawhi should be able to win us a couple, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. So, Roll, you are no longer boycotting the Clippers then, right? You want the Clippers to win.
I'm no longer boycotting the Clippers. They finally made a move for the future. They finally took a step forward. So I am back on the Clippers bandwagon.
Well, to celebrate that, let's finish off this episode with a segment that we haven't done in quite some time. Hot take, shot take, guys.
Yes, sir.
So, Rolla, did you have any hot takes? Do we need to take a break and do you need to curate some?
No. I have a hot take.
Okay, you got some. Okay,
ready.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come up with one. Just take your time because I gotta think.
You want to give me a drum roll? Give me a drum roll.
Oh yeah, you know I got you. Hold up. 1 second. Here we go.
My hot take is the public, the general public, and the general Clipper fandom will not remember James Harden as a Los Angeles Clipper.
Okay. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that he'll be remembered as a Houston Rocket.
Yeah, exactly. In the sense of that, I feel like, and this sounds weird to even say, but like almost like this was a blip in time. Like James Harden came to the Clippers and left. Almost like, well, his time in the Clippers will be remembered like his time in Philadelphia or his time in Brooklyn as just a blip in his career. Like James Harden was the Rockets, and then he kind of like how Shaq at the end of his career bounced out around to random teams. I feel like the Clippers will be a part of that story of just like James Harden was a Rockets player and then bounced around to a couple of teams to end his career.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
I kind of disagree. I think like obviously, oh yeah, you gotta hot take, shot take, man. Come on. Well, I'll respond to what you said while you're getting your shot ready. I I think that, like, obviously he'll be remembered for his time in Houston, but I really do think that, honestly, out of all the other stops that he made, I think that this stop with the Clippers will be remembered fondly. And I think that, like, he had moments, like he had special moments with this team, and I think that a lot of fans will remember that outside of the Clippers organization as well.
Okay, I have a second part to this.
Okay, hold on.
I think that Paul George will be remembered more fondly, significantly more fondly, to Clipper Nation than both James Harden and Kawhi.
I think it really depends on who you ask.
I think
Kawhi ain't done yet. Kawhi ain't done yet. That's all I'm going to say.
But
take your shot.
Take
your shot.
I think Paul George did significantly more for the Los Angeles Clippers than James Harden and Kawhi. Almost, I would say probably both of them combined.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll depend on who you ask. And I think, obviously, while Rolla recovers from his shot, I'm going to retort with, I think it depends on who you ask, but I think that Clipper fans like saw all of this firsthand. So, like, they're going to have a more biased opinion. If we're talking about, like, the general consensus, obviously I think Kawhi, out of all of these players, will be remembered, as a Clipper the most fondly. And like I said, he's not done yet. He hasn't, he's still with the Clippers. Anything's possible. He might have another special moment in him. We'll see what happens this summer. But
I think when you,
I don't know. That's interesting. You make an interesting point.
When you think about players, I think the playoffs matter significantly more than the regular season. Of course, the regular season is huge. When you think about Chris Paul as a Clipper, what's the first thing you think of? You think about that game-winning Game 7 shot against the San Antonio Spurs. When you think about, I was going to say Blake Griffin, but I feel like Blake Griffin only had dunks pretty much. But I guess, like, comparing, like I said, Chris Paul to these other veterans, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Kawhi didn't really have that for us. I feel like James Harden didn't really have that for us. I feel like Paul George did multiple times and took us to the Western Conference Finals. And that's something that both Kawhi and James Harden never even scratched.
Of course. Well, Kawhi was on his way to doing the same. I mean, we don't get to that point for Paul George to push us over the edge without Kawhi Leonard. I mean, what he did against the Mavs and what he was looking like he was about to do against the Jazz before Joe Ingles ruined it all. I think that they would have done that together. And credit to Paul George for putting the entire team on his back.
Literally the entire team.
Yeah, and leading the playoffs in minutes, leading the playoffs in points per game. Like, Paul George was amazing. But I think that Kawhi would have done the same thing. And he was, before Kawhi went down, he was the best player in the playoffs, bar none. Like, the only person that was close was Giannis.
But they say the best ability is availability, bro.
Sure.
You got to be there. You can't say if, because it
coulda, woulda, shoulda. Also, real quick, this has been staring me in the face for the last 2 minutes, and we can talk about it maybe next episode would be a good time to talk about it.
No, not the.
But I'm looking.
Not the prediction.
I'm looking at the predictions that we made at the beginning of this season, and oh my God, are we gonna eat our words on this? You know what? We're gonna talk about that next episode.
Yeah,
but
we gotta talk. About that.
Holy,
we can make a
holy cow,
half season adjustment, half season prediction.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to have to because these are really bad. These are really bad. Anyway, hopefully this hot take isn't incorrect because this would be really cool to see. But my hot take, I'm drinking tequila. I don't like tequila, so I'm doing this for you guys. My hot take is with Zoo gone, shouts out Zoo, Brooke Lopez on his way out, in terms of like his age and all that. And, we have Isaiah Jackson. He's more of a bench center, With all that being said, I think Yannick Niederhauser, a guy who I was kind of not upset, but I was surprised that the Clippers drafted with the amount of prospects that were still available.
You forgot the drum roll, by the way.
Shit. Oh, my God. Yannick Niederhauser, a guy that I was a little bit skeptical of going into this draft based on the guys that were still available in the draft that I preferred. With the opportunity that he has, Yannick Niederhauser will be the starting center for the Clippers next year, and he will be in the running for most improved player. That's my hot take.
That is hot. But I like it.
It's hot, but it's not too hot. It's not this shit that we have on the cork board over here that we're about to expose next episode.
No.
Yeah.
But Yannick,
I'm standing on business with that one.
He's been giving me flashes of DeAndre Jordan because that athleticism. Oh, that was a bad shot, huh? He's been giving me flashes of DeAndre Jordan. Who's the Jarrett Allen? I think that Darius Garland, having played with Jarrett Allen for so long, can kind of make Yannick into that archetype of player, and I think we can see a most improved type of season from him. Mm-hmm. So I like that hot take, dude. I really do.
Especially if he starts. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
I didn't like your hot take, but it's okay. You've had some good ones. You've had some good ones.
It's hot.
But I appreciate it, Roy. Yeah, no, if he gets the opportunity, like the opportunity would have to be there, right? Like I would need him to start. Like I would need him to, make his presence felt, like be a solid starting center in the league. And I think that he could do that possibly if given the opportunity. So I guess we'll have to wait to see about that next year. Mm-hmm. But I'm doing a very early shot take. But Rolla, did you have anything else any more hot takes you wanted to get off?
No, that was it.
Yeah. Well, guys,
truth.
We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Rolla, do you have anything else you wanted to say before we go off into the sunset on this episode?
Nothing, man. Just I've been really feeling the love from Clipper Nation on the our Instagram.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
So please, guys, thank you so much. Please continue to DM us. Please continue to hit us up. Nick is always at the Clipper games. I live in Phoenix currently, but I do go to the Clipper Phoenix games out here, and I'm trying to go to a Clipper game when I'm back home in LA. So please, if you see us around, hit us up. We're usually out wearing our merch, which we do give away. So stay tuned for the next merch giveaway. But yeah, dude, thank you to all of Clipper Nation, man.
We really, really appreciate it. As always, comment, like, subscribe wherever you can. As Rolla said up top, you can watch us on YouTube, find us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Get at us on Twitter and on Instagram at Clip Service Pod. A lot of drastic changes, but I think the Clippers are finally trending in a younger, brighter future, and there's a lot to be excited about. So here's to more wins, and here's to a bright future, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It ain't no lip service. This has been Clip Service. Rolla, tell these optimistic Clipper fans what they want to hear.
Let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips.